despite the fact that it was unequivocally what she wanted in her life. Following the episode, Linda genuinely regretted what she and Jason had done on the grounds that it was amateurish and might have harmed her vocation. Linda chose to move toward Jason about her new way of behaving with him on the next day of training. Tom pursued the decision to apologize to Linda in the rec center for his prior conduct at her school. They decided to keep up with their fellowship to guarantee the progress of the exhibition. In the wake of leaving the exercise center, Linda called Jason to tell him that she had addressed his dad tragically. Jason was with Hallie, who was Linda's momentum understudy, and Linda was not content with Jason. He told her that Jason had misdirected him about his timetable, and that he had not come to the school in view of the play. The next day, Linda called Hallie to her homeroom and cautioned her about her activities with Jason when Linda saw Jason and Hallie snuggling. She was annoyed with him since she thought what he was doing was inappropriate and amateurish. When Linda stood up to Jason, he followed her and apologized. Yet she was likewise jealous of him, since he was making the most of the younger students. The most horrendously terrible part is that Will subtly recorded each word they talked, while belligerents and afterward disclosed the discussions due of what happened the earlier day. Each understudy at school peered down on Linda the next day. Hallie was enraged and disheartened by what Linda done since she had seen Hallie and Jason kissing. Linda went promptly to the Essentials office to reprimand her for spreading bogus reports about her, irritated by Jason's abuse of their understudy. Trudy and Phil moved toward him when he startlingly showed up with his face painted red to represent the blood, since they were rehearsing the consummation. This is when Phil and Trudy understood that Carl had left the consummation setup. Despite the fact that it should be changed, Linda got terminated for both the relationship and deceiving the organization. When Hallie unexpectedly played the video film demonstrating Jason and Linda's relationship at school when Jason moved toward her, while she was escaping, and blamed her for lying about changing the completion. She pursued the choice to paper splash him again out of regret. She was driving while out to lunch, scouring her eyes with the very hand that had contacted the pepper shower, and she ultimately hit with a draw and blacked out. Tom needed to look at her at the medical clinic since he was the specialist on the job. She let him know that she had an unsanctioned romance with his child, and it was a one-time thing. He got frustrated. After some recuperation, she was released from the medical clinic. She ran into Tom as the attendant was taking her to the taxi, yet she would have rather not met his eyes due to what she had done. She informed him that she had been terminated, which was at that point a serious discipline for her, given that her occupation was the focal point of her universe. While he endeavored to pass judgment on her, Linda would not acknowledge Tom when he attempted to convince her that Jason's message in the play was misleading. So she left. Carl had left a voice message engaging for pardoning and help with the play, since he was experiencing a psychological episode without her. When Linda returned home, yet she disregarded him days after the fact, as she was lying on her love seat. Trudy came over and requested her help. Carl was in the emergency clinic and couldn't go to the practices, and they required her help since they had offered an adequate number of passes to produce the vital 18,000 for the school. She was allowed the opportunity to attempt Jason, yet he declined in light of the fact that he could never need to change the closure, leaving her as the sole decision. The next morning, Linda went to the theater to assume control over Carl's liabilities. She proceeded with the practices, yet Hallie was as yet discontent with her since she was the wellspring of all the difficulty, and they had changed the consummation the next night. Linda went to see Jason at his home to attempt to inspire him to consider an alternate completion, yet he denied. Linda worked the whole evening, making a consummation that would accommodate Jason's play. Carl got back from the clinic before the show and lauded Linda for filling in so honorably for him while he was away. Jason accused Linda of changing his decision during the presentation, yet she, a short time later, apologized and told him not to abandon his fantasy as a result of her misstep. Jason heeded her guidance and endorsed the arranging of the exhibition. Jason was shocked by their folks' energy for the play, particularly on the grounds that the entertainers gave a magnificent presentation, and Linda had composed a cheerful consummation. Jason was invited to the stage as the play's writer, which fulfilled Trudy and Phil too. Tom developed glad for Jason as of now, subsequent to expressing gratitude toward Linda for her help with completing the play. Tom and Lynette before long started dating. Gratitude for watching. See you sometime later. The legend of the film is Heavenly Messenger, who fills in as an emergency vehicle man. His work was at the site of a car crash, shipping the harmed and ransacking them. When he gets back, he is dubious of his significant other Vane, who let him know she is leaving, so he watches her. Then he puts what he took someplace in the pantry in the rescue vehicle. His collaborator is conversing with him while he is watching a fruitfulness video and not focusing on him. Call comes to them, letting them know that there is an elderly person who is oblivious when they went to her. They found her dead. Heavenly Messenger takes once more and afterward proceeds to sell the watch, yet keeps the ring with him. He tells the individual he needs to offer to that these things are his grandma's at home. Vane gets a call, and Heavenly Messenger requests that she answer. She lets him know that he ought to go to a specialist to assist them with imagining. He guarantees her that he will go. Not long after that, we see a man with a canine. This canine continued to bark, which upset Heavenly Messenger while he was resting. The following day, he went to the specialist's office. The specialist lets him know the stunning news that he has a low sperm count, and that he and his better half should go through planned impregnation at home. He converses with Vane and recommends they travel together. However, she lets him know that she is in the test period, and she should review. While Vane is in the room, an instant message comes to her. Heavenly Messenger opens her telephone and sees a message from her schoolmate at work. They transport a harmed individual who is oblivious, and in the emergency vehicle, the harmed man comes to seizures. The driver attempts to see what's going on and attempts to leave someplace. However, a quickly moving vehicle hits them. They had a savage mishap. After the mishap, we see Vane supporting her better. Half as the mishap impacted Heavenly Messenger, and he could stroll with the assistance of a wheelchair. Then she brings him medication, then a call from her schoolmate comes to her. She lets him know that he assists her with composing. Concentrate on notes in her non-appearance. He was irritated about their relationship. The following day, he watches a video of an individual making sense about the programmer application, and that through this application he can screen any telephone. Then he goes to have an exercise-based recuperation meeting with Dr. Sandra. The driver who was with him in the vehicle at the hour of the mishap comes to their home. He had a few scars on his face, and he was attempting to apologize to Heavenly Messenger. However, he resented him, and he blamed him for being the justification behind this. Then, at that point, removed him from his home one night. Vane was going to go out, and he requested that she present to him a frozen yogurt. He exploited her leaving the room and introduced the programmer application on her telephone. Then she brings him frozen yogurt and leaves. After that, he opens his PC and can decide her ongoing area. Additionally, that evening, Heavenly Messenger endured from the sound of canines yelping the following day. While he was out, he met the proprietor of the canine and grumbled to him about his voice. The man lets him know that the canine is yapping in light of the fact that he is letting him be on the grounds that he had gone to visit his significant other in the medical clinic. Holy Messenger keeps on going to physiotherapy meetings. He lets Vane know that the specialist is letting him know he's improving, and that he could possibly walk once more. Yet Vane was uninterested in what he said. So he was amazed. She lets him know that she was offered a temporary job at a vet facility. He requests that her house save time for that. She lets him know that she will leave her place of employment and work a portion of a day as a client assistance representative. He flies off the handle about it and feels vulnerable. After that, he was observing every one of her contacts with clients around evening time. He was in agony, and he was searching for the pain reliever medication box, yet he didn't track down it. So he calls Vane to let him know where the medication is. Nevertheless, he found her telephone switched off. After that, he goes to the kitchen and finds the medication. Then he conceals the medication under the bed. When she came, he asked her for what good reason she left him without consideration and where his medication was. She let him know that the medication was in the kitchen. However, he tells her that the medication isn't there. To be sure, she didn't find the medication box the following day. He places a pin in a piece of meat and proceeds to call the canine in a soft tone. So the proprietor of the canine does not hear him. He causes the canine to eat the meat to kick the bucket while keeping an eye on Vane's calls. He hears her calling with her companion. Her companion tells her that she ought to leave him. Vane tells her that he has turned into a weight to her, and her companion urges her to leave him since he abuses her. When Vane gets back, she finds that he has arranged the food she cherishes. He requests that she wear the dress he purchased for her. She was at that point wearing the dress, and she was lovely while eating. He says thanks to her for how she helped him during the previous days, and he guarantees her that he will get better in the approaching period. Do you want to see part 2 of this video? Subscribe to the channel and comment part 2. Thanks for watching. I would see you at part 2.